episode of Beyond the Present podcast. I'm Daniel Mulligan, and today we're talking about brain rot. Oh, did you know that last year the word of the year was actually brain rot? You're right. Oxford picked brain rot as the word of the year last year because of its prevalence. Now, unfortunately, this issue is a serious issue affecting not just Gen Zs, but every single one of us. And it refers to that feeling you have by going through lots and lots of low quality, low content videos on social media all the time. Imagine how you feel when you're scrolling through TikTok video after TikTok video for 10 seconds, 5 seconds, a minute, and then your brain afterward feels like, oh, I don't know how I'm feeling. I feel weird. Well, that feeling that you have is called brain rot. And today, I want to talk about how important this is for you to stop the brain rot cold right here, right now. Guys, understand this. It is actually very dangerous to engage in such, self-destructive behavior, but unfortunately, it's now the norm. So the issue of Reels and TikTok videos and limitless supply of low quality, low content, and not very intelligent videos is the reason why this word was picked as the word of the year last year to show the importance of finding ways to deal with this issue. I don't know how much time you spend on social media. Just ask yourself right now, how many hours per day do you spend on social media? Now, before you go any further, I'm not here trying to say you have to delete all these platforms right away. As you probably know, I'm pretty active on social media myself. So I'm not here one of those people like, okay, listen, I want you right now to delete all your social media platforms. Delete every single one of them and never touch them again. No, I'm not here trying to tell you to do that because that's, first of all, impossible. Secondly, it's not even good for you. In a world of, communication that we are in today, there's no way for you to just, delete all these apps and call yourself a normal person because you will lose access to so much information, so many opportunities because of this that is simply not worth it. So I'm not here saying you should stop using social media altogether. Quite the opposite. We all need to learn how to use social media in a way that we benefit from it, both personally and professionally, and at the same time, do not suffer the main symptom of the misuse of this platform, which is brain rot. So let's go back to the concept of brain rot and what it actually is. So just imagine you're laying on your couch somewhere or in your office, at work, you got nothing to do, you're at home, and you just go through endless streams of videos, posts, one after the other. One is funny, one is outrageous, one is scary, one is kind of boring. One is like, see what these guys are doing. So your brain is switching with every single post. It is switching to a brand new experience. But the problem is this. Since our brain isn't wired for this, because for the majority of human history, our environment and our attention was, switched between things that were in our immediate environment. It was impossible to laugh at one thing and then to be scared of an animal attacking us from behind and then to think about the future and then be worried. So those concepts were simply not possible back then. It wasn't possible for us to be constantly bombarded by various types of information. There was a time when we were hungry, so our mind was focused on hunting. There was a time we were worried, so we had to escape and save our lives. There was a time when we just wanted to relax and spend time with the family members. There was a time we wanted to socialize and gossip. But now, following the advent and promotion of social media around the world, things are changing drastically in a way that is simply not compatible with the way our human brain has evolved. It means once you expose yourself to a certain stream of repetitive different types of content mashed and mixed together, you realize your cognitive skills are declining. And that's exactly how a lot of people describe their feelings. Just ask someone who just spent the past 2 hours streaming random videos on YouTube and then scrolling through TikTok videos and whatnot and then watching all the posts. When you ask them how they feel, they oftentimes tell you, I'm not feeling very well. I don't know. I feel kind of low. That feeling is a byproduct of not using your brain the way it was intended to be used. And unfortunately, since that's now the new norm, we have to literally immunize ourselves against the brain rot through personal action. Because if you don't do anything, the algorithms of these platforms are designed in a way that brain rot is by default the ultimate outcome. So if you want to take control of your mind, if you want to avoid that cognitive decline that is the result of excessive consumption of social media, especially in its current format of just going through endless streams of low quality, low content videos back to back, you have to take control of the way you consume social media. And today, I'm going to help you just do that. You see, like I said earlier, I'm not a fan of abandoning you. So, Dan, I think you're right. I've been suffering from this for a long time, and I don't know what to do. Like, I just started exploring videos, and there's one reel, and there's the next, and then I look back like, dude, it's been 2 hours. Well, those algorithms are functionally useless if you stop following with those algorithms. So in order for you to break this symptom, you have to break the algorithm. And what does that mean? You see, these algorithms are designed to attract and engage your attention based upon your preferences, and they are taking a history of your every single post, like, comment, and visit throughout your whole life. And this is not just about the account that you got, because nowadays our smartphones are gathering data literally 24/7 without us knowing. And don't you get upset about this, but that's a fact. So our smartphones are gathering data about us 24/7 and then keeping them as big data to share with advertisers. And then they create an algorithm based upon you. And that's not just about what you did on that platform, but what you've done on your smartphone for as long as you've lived. And not just on that very phone, because your track record carries with you with your email address, IP address, phone number, and so on and so forth. So essentially, the internet knows who you are. They know what you want. And it's an amazing tool that allows you to get exactly what you want in an unlimited supply of content. So what can you do about this? Understand this. If you want to let the platforms do it for you, you will always fail because they're not designed for that. All these social media platforms are designed for one thing: more and more engagement. They don't care what this does to your health. They don't care what this does to your level of happiness. They don't care if you feel depressed or you feel like you're missing out on so much. They don't care about any of this. The very purpose of these platforms is to get you engaged, hooked, and eventually addicted. That's the whole point, which is why, in order to excel in this regard, you have to learn to become an intelligent consumer of these platforms. How do we do this? What does it even mean to be an intelligent user consumer? Well, it's very simple. In order to do so, you have to know exactly what kind of content you want, and you have to take away randomness and all the suggestions out of that system. So right now, the chances are most of the videos that you're watching these days probably aren't from the accounts that you follow. They are suggested videos offered by these algorithms to help you get engaged. And if you really want to avoid brain rot, you have to limit your usage by making it very specialized, specific, and focused. So instead of just randomly browsing through some viral videos, just say, I'm going to just focus on some of those videos or photos or posts from those people that I follow. That's the first step. You have to specialize your consumption. Understand this. There's no way you can escape brain rot if your consumption of social media is randomly generated. Because if that's the case, then you will not survive. They will keep sending you reels after reels, viral video after viral video, post after post, and you have no choice. So in this case, you need that discipline to focus on certain types of content, to discipline yourself to stick to those, pages or accounts or channels that you follow, and to avoid all the other suggestions. You see, the key word here is suggested material. That's where people get the brain rot. Once you start following with suggested material or content of any kind, that's when the gateway just breaks and there's no way to hold that dam. That dam is now broken. The content just keeps flowing and flooding your mind. So if you really want to avoid brain rot, avoid suggested content by these platforms. Doesn't matter what platform you're talking about. You might say, but Dan, I love, TikTok. The videos are so cool. They keep coming up. Well, that's how they get you hooked. Oh man, I love the reels. They're just so cool. Well, that's how they get you hooked. Now, I'm not saying you should fully abandon these suggested videos. If you got something of value and you felt like that this account, this information is worth consuming again and again, by all means, go follow that page and then keep consuming just that. The problem is this. We are experimenting and just watching random videos from random people, not knowing what we want. Which brings us to the next step, knowing exactly what type of content you want to use. That's the next step. If you truly want to avoid brain rot, you have to know exactly what type of content you want to consume and then commit yourself to following certain channels that offer just that type of content. So once you know, okay, I want this type of content. I only want things about sports. I only want things about dancing. I only want things about music or entertainment. Once you know exactly what type of content you want, you're a lot less likely to suffer from brain rot because then your usage of that platform becomes more focused, categorized, and specialized. Most users of social media don't know that. They just open and just randomly go through some videos. Oh, let's just watch something about monkeys, and then about business, and then about cats. Dude, you can't do it this way. If you truly want to make the most of your social media usage, you have to know exactly what type of content you want to follow. You say, well, I only want to follow my friends and family members, and I want these types of contents on the site. I would love some stuff about maybe cars, some stuff about perhaps business, some stuff about entertainment. That's what I want. Because once you specialize your usage and you know exactly what kind of content you want, it becomes a lot easier for you to simply ignore all the suggestions that keep coming and coming and coming. And that way, your usage becomes a lot more, reasonable. And finally, after you've decided exactly what kind of content you want, the last stage is limiting the time that you dedicate to your usage. Now, you're saying, well, Dan, that's so far it's been possible, but this last one is so hard. How am I supposed to do that, man? I don't even know. Well, it's very simple. The reason that you get brain rot is because your usage of social media platforms is not scheduled, is haphazard, random, and at different times of the day. But if you truly want to take control of that and avoid brain rot, tell yourself, I'll be using social media for this number of minutes or hours during these periods of the day. For example, I use it for about half an hour during lunch break, then I'll use another 15 minutes at night, and that's that. That's a total of 45 minutes per day, twice per day. You see, you cannot experience brain rot if your usage of these platforms is scheduled, planned, and limited to a certain amount of minutes or hours. Because again, these algorithms primarily rely on you losing track of time and then getting hooked on these material by constantly checking them throughout the day. How many of you right now just randomly check, these platforms many, many times per day? That's very dangerous. The most dangerous thing you can do to yourself is to randomly and haphazardly check these platforms throughout the day, because that's how they get you hooked. Instead, tell yourself, social media, I'll check it once a day. Once every 2 days, once a week, 3 times a day during these hours. Once you schedule that in advance, it becomes a lot easier to first stay focused on the content that you want to consume, not get, sidetracked by all the suggestions. And that limitation itself allows you not to overconsume this passive form of entertainment. Guys, social media has replaced television for most of us, which means by default, it is technically, even though you can leave comments, even though you can, share it and interact with it, it is still technically a passive means of consuming information, which is not good for your brain. It means it makes you less intelligent. So understand this, the more time you spend on social media, the less intelligent you get. Just imagine every additional minute I spend on social media that is not necessary, I'm losing my intelligence. Once you look at it this way, just imagine that there's a marker of your overall intelligence. And I'm not just talking about IQ here, but all types of intelligences. Physical, spatial, musical, it doesn't really matter. Imagine like you have all those metrics of your intelligence right in front of you, and every additional excessive minute of those media usages is gradually, you'll see that chart's going down like, oh my gosh, I just saw that my musical intelligence just declined from, for example, 1,000 points to 980 points in the past 2 hours. Oh my gosh. Once you visualize it this way, then you naturally have the inclination to use it less. And guys, this is what I'm telling you right now is scientifically proven. If you use social media excessively, you will experience a cognitive decline in forms of inability to concentrate on meaningful tasks for a long enough period because your attention span declines over time, by reducing your brain's capacity in imaginative thinking and creative thinking, and above all, it just reduces your general sharpness. So, if you want to avoid that, limit it, plan it, and schedule it. And once you combine these three approaches, hopefully you will avoid the trap of the brain rot. All right, guys, that's all the time we had for. Hope you enjoyed today's podcast. And don't forget, take it seriously. Prevent this unfortunate event. Make sure you never go down that rabbit hole. And above all, focus on using these platforms in an intelligent manner. All right, that's all the time we had for again. I'm Daniel Mulligan, and this was Beyond the Present Podcast. Have a good one.